In today's video, we examine the tragic case of Samantha Keithley, a devoted mother whose life was ended in the most shocking manner. Samantha Keithley, who was 33 years old, was living what many would describe as a dream life. She held 2 successful jobs and was raising 4 children in a beautiful home in Lando Lakes, Florida. Her husband Kirk was a well-regarded Hillsborough County Sheriff's deputy on the night of September 23, 2018. That dream became a nightmare. Samantha was born in Fayetteville, North Carolina on December 29, 1984. During her early years, she experienced both grief and resilience. Her mother passed away from non-Hodgkin's cancer when she was just 16 years old. Samantha did not allow her grief to break her. Instead, she became the glue that kept her family together. Afterward, her younger brother, Taylor Starling, said, "We were best friends as children. We lost our mom when we were young, and that brought us closer together. She was always there for me. And she sort of became a mother figure to me." Samantha grew into an incredible woman because of this early responsibility. She naturally watched over and cared for others even when she was struggling herself. Samantha attended Bloomingdale High School in Brandon, Florida, where her family relocated. That is where she met Kristen Kellen, who would become her lifelong best friend. They graduated together in 2003 and grew close because they had both been teenagers and because Samantha had a contagious personality. Friends could immediately see that she was different from other people. She enjoyed her life. Later, Kellen would say that she was electric, unbelievably beautiful, and just as her uncle had said, "I liked her, and we shared some wild, wonderful, fun times together." But Samantha's vibrant personality was not the only thing that made people care about her. She instinctively knew how to make others feel valued and secure. This quality would appear in many ways throughout her life. From the way she cared for her younger brother to the way she assisted people who were in need. Samantha managed to balance 2 demanding jobs while also raising 4 children by September 2018. She had recently been promoted to assistant manager at the Seoul Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Tampa, where she had been employed for more than 10 years. She felt that the casino was a second home. Everyone at the company respected how diligently she worked and how much she understood about the business. Joe Lupp later said, "Sam was part of our Hard Rock family for over 10 years. She was genuinely loved by everyone who knew her. Our focus now is to support one another as we grieve this devastating loss." Samantha was not content to simply sit back and relax at the casino. However, she had also trained to become a nurse and was testing her business skills by investing in real estate. She had never taken a real estate class, but she had recently begun working for Keller Williams Realty in Lakeland, Florida, and was already succeeding in her new position. Damen Boyce, who led her real estate team, said she fit in immediately and was skilled at locating high-end homes. She performed exceptionally well in the Tampa Bay area during the brief time she was there. Samantha had demonstrated the same determination that would define her entire life, even though she had only begun working in real estate a few months before her death. Chris Mlaughlin, her co-worker, would refer to her as Wonder Woman for being able to manage all of these jobs while also raising 4 children. She worked early shifts at the casino, studied real estate law late at night, drove the children to and from school, prepared lunches, and assisted them with their homework. Those who knew her were astonished at how she managed to do it all. She made it appear as though everything was effortless. More than that, however, she made certain that everyone else felt loved and cared for. At Samantha's funeral, Rose Cryer spoke about how Samantha had helped her leave an abusive relationship. This may have been the clearest reflection of her character. Samantha would say to me, "Rose, you deserve better than that. So many people love you. You are not alone. You need to leave." Sinria said, even in life, Samantha was shielding others from the very fate that would eventually take her. Samantha always recognized when someone needed help and stepped in to provide it. Samantha Keithley married Kirk Keithley in 2012, and together the 2 families had 4 children. Mark was 14 years old and was Samantha's son from a previous relationship. Peyton was Kirk's son from an earlier marriage. He was 7 years old. Olivia was 4 years old. And Avalon was only 2 years old in their marriage. From the outside, the family appeared to have everything they could have wanted. They finally purchased their dream home in February 2018 on Tereso Way in the Beeksley neighborhood of Lando Lakes. The cream-colored 2-story house, which cost $322,000, was the American dream realized. It was peaceful, family-friendly, and near good schools. It should have been an ideal place for them to raise their children. Kirk appeared to be the kind of steady, dependable police officer any family would want to keep them safe. He had served as a constable with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office since June 15, 2009. Prior to that, he had been employed by the St. Petersburg Police Department. From 2009, he had worked as a police officer for nearly 20 years, without any serious issues. So, his position appeared stable, but not remarkable. There were, however, small warning signs that family members would later recognize very clearly and with deep pain. Kirk, according to Samantha's family, behaved as though he was superior to other people and did not want to speak much at family gatherings. The older sister's brother-in-law said that Kirk behaved as if he did not want to become acquainted with his in-laws at family dinners. His employment record was not disqualifying, but it did reveal some concerning patterns. A warning was issued to him in 2016 for misuse of contact tools. In 2011, he received a letter of counseling for a car accident that he could have prevented. Even more revealing was a report he received from the St. Petersburg Police Department in 2008, which stated that he had a rigid personality and recommended that he learn how to interact with others. When police assess individuals, the term Austere is very significant. It makes me think of someone who is cold, detached, and lacking the social abilities that effective police work requires. The fact that Kirk's supervisors observed this and believed he needed additional training shows that people who worked with him professionally could see that he had difficulty forming connections with others. Even with these concerns, there was no record of any calls regarding domestic abuse at their home. Even people who were close to the couple did not believe Samantha was in immediate danger. This often happens when police respond to reports of domestic abuse. The offender knows exactly how to stay out of the view of authorities while still maintaining control behind closed doors. But their neighbors described a different story. One that showed how power in the home can appear in subtle ways. The Keithleys lived across the street from Griffith for 5 years before they relocated to Land O'Lakes in February 2018. Griffith said that getting to know everyone in the neighborhood made him the mayor of the neighborhood. But Kirk Keithley was the one person he could never reach. She was very friendly to me unless Kirk was present. Then she would simply say hello or wave. He said in hindsight, this information is particularly frightening. It makes me think that Samantha may have learned to alter how she behaves when Kirk is present, which is a common pattern in controlling relationships. Griffith attempted many times to get Kirk to speak. He even connected him with another constable from Georgia in the hope that their jobs would help them form a connection. Griffith said, he just turned away from us and ignored us. This absence of social interaction is another indicator of domestic violence. Abusers often attempt to isolate their victims from people who could assist them. This makes it more difficult for victims to get help or maintain relationships that could help them see situations more clearly. Still, these signs were not enough to predict what was going to happen. Domestic violence experts say that a victim is most likely to be in danger when they are attempting to leave or demonstrate that they are independent. And Samantha's growing success in real estate may have been exactly that kind of threat to Kirk's authority. The most horrifying aspect of the Samantha Keithley case was that it was not an isolated incident. Statistics show that police officers are more likely than the general population to commit domestic abuse, and when they do, the victims often die. Kirk's co-workers had no idea what was happening at home. This is common in law enforcement families where violence between family members is not recorded or discovered. Police know how to prevent evidence from being left behind. They understand how investigations work, and people who are abused often fear that calling will not help because the abuser's co-workers will be the ones who respond to the call. Also, the stress of being a police officer and having to deal with violence, pain, and human suffering every day can be very damaging to mental health. Some police officers may turn to drugs, alcohol, or violence to cope with their stress if they do not receive the help and support they need for their mental health. In Kirk's case, the toxicology results would later reveal how intoxicated he was on the night he killed Samantha. He was too drunk to make rational decisions. His blood alcohol level was 0.156, which is nearly twice Florida's legal limit, and he had oxycodone in his system. September 23, 2018. The evening began like many others. But things quickly deteriorated at the Keithley home. Samantha was sick, which is a common illness that her husband should have understood and supported her through. Instead, it led to 6 hours of abuse that ended in tragedy. Samantha had told Kirk repeatedly that she was sick and needed to be left alone. Simply giving her a place to rest when she was not feeling well should have been acceptable to a loving partner. Instead, Kirk became more and more angry and hostile. The argument continued for hours and Kirk's behavior became more erratic as he became more intoxicated. No one will ever know for certain what made Kirk so angry that night. Was it stress from work, financial worries, or anger over Samantha's growing success in real estate? Or was it simply the toxic combination of drugs, alcohol, and a controlling personality finally overwhelming them? Unfortunately, things became so severe that Samantha decided to leave for a while. She then checked into a hotel. This is a very important detail because it shows that Samantha knew she was in danger and took steps to protect herself. Most likely, going to a hotel was her way of calming down and giving Kirk time to do the same. It was the right thing to do in an unfair situation. Sadly, Samantha made the terrible decision to return home, which killed her. She might have believed Kirk was calmer. Could have been that she was worried about the children. She might have thought she had nowhere else to go. No matter what she was thinking, this decision would kill her. She may not have fully understood how dangerous things were for her because she went back. This happens frequently when there is domestic abuse. Many times, victims minimize the threat because they do not believe their partner would truly kill them. People in abusive relationships may not be able to accurately judge their own safety because of the psychological manipulation that takes place. Samantha sent those desperate final texts to Kristen Kellen at 11:50 p.m. Kirk has lost his mind, Kristen. He's killing himself. He's been bothering me for 6 hours and I've told him again and again to leave me alone. Because I'm sick. These messages make it clear that the woman is distressed and trying to get help from her best friend. Kirk has lost his mind. Makes it sound like this kind of behavior was out of the ordinary, even for their difficult relationship. She also said, I just chucked my ring outside. Which was a very revealing reference to her wedding ring and a sign that the marriage was over. Samantha let him know that the relationship was finished by throwing away her wedding ring. It was an act of defiance that may have made Kirk even more angry. The timing of these texts is very important. At 11:50 p.m., Samantha was still alive and able to speak to her friend. She would be dead a little more than an hour later. They would not reach Kellen until 2 a.m., which was too late for him to help. I didn't open it. Until around 2 a.m. Then I texted her. Back this morning around 7 o'clock. It was too late, she said. It is hard to imagine how guilty Kellen must feel that. Her best friend's final texts were not read for hours. Kirk shot Samantha while she was sitting on the couch downstairs. Around midnight on September 24th. Samantha was seated on the couch, which makes it possible that she did not see the attack coming. She may have thought Kirk was finally calm. It is possible that she had just lost her temper after being harassed for 6 hours. No matter what happened, Kirk used the fact that she was vulnerable to carry out his final act of control. Kirk went upstairs, turned the gun on himself, and then shot Samantha. But he was not finished with his violent act yet. When this nightmare happened in the house, there were 4 children there, and what they saw and heard will forever scar them. When Mark Price, then 14, heard the gunshot and found his mother's body, he showed unimaginable bravery. He did not freeze or become afraid. Instead, he did something that saved his younger brothers and called for help. Mark managed to escape by crawling under the garage door. This shows that he was able to remain calm even when things were going badly. Then he made the very important 911 call that informed the police about the tragedy. His words demonstrated how terrifying what he had witnessed was, but they also revealed a great deal of composure for someone so young who was enduring such a nightmare. My mom's been shot. My mom's been shot. Oh my God. My stepdad just shot my mom in the head. It was said that Mark was able to provide the dispatcher with important information, even though he was distressed. The person on the call asked him where the guns were and attempted to gather more details about what had occurred. My stepdad and mom had been arguing all night. She went to a hotel and came back and I heard them arguing in a gunshot. I went outside and saw her bloody and dead. Mark's tone of voice when he speaks about discovering his mother's body is heartbreaking. No child should ever have to see their parents like that, let alone be required to explain it to 911. When the dispatcher asked Mark to describe his stepfather, he repeated, he just shot my mom in the head. My stepdad shot my mom in the head. This indicates that he was struggling to comprehend what had happened. When the mind attempts to make sense of something it cannot comprehend, it often replays painful memories. After that, the line stopped working. Dispatchers attempted to call back for several frightening minutes, but were unable to. They could not determine whether Mark was okay or whether Kirk was still a threat to the children. Mark eventually called back and said that his phone was not working. The call had been taken over by a friend's father who told the dispatcher that Mark was with him and having a difficult time. He has 2 young step-sisters right in front of the house. He said, this information makes me feel better. The other children were safe with neighbors who were looking after them. When deputies from Pasco County arrived after midnight, they encountered a crime scene that would remain with them for years. Samantha's body was on the couch and she had been shot and killed. Kirk's body was found upstairs with what appeared to be a gunshot wound to the head. All 4 children were found safe, but they were extremely frightened. It's devastating. What happened here this morning? Pasco County Sheriff Chris Nacco said, the moment someone goes from protecting people to harming people, he forfeits the right, regardless of what agency they are with, to call themselves a law enforcement officer. As previously stated, toxicology tests showed that Kirk was under the influence of both alcohol and oxycodone that night. The combination of these depressants can make it very difficult to make sound decisions, increase anger, and lead people to engage in extremely dangerous actions that could be fatal. Ted Freely, Samantha's uncle, would later say that alcohol and those pills do not explain anything. It is all on Kirk. It does not lessen any of the pain. It does not justify anything. The tragedy stunned many people. The real estate community came together immediately. Her co-workers created a GoFundMe page for the 4 children within just 24 hours. And it raised nearly $80,000 for them. The children were placed in Samantha's father's care, and the tremendous financial support from the community laid the foundation for their future needs. There were many people at Bell Shoals Baptist Church in Brandon on October 2, 2018. Ted Freely, Samantha's uncle, said the most important thing about how people should remember her. Freely said, "Don't reduce this story to her final few minutes when you tell it. That is not what her life was about. If you did that, you would miss out on 33 years of an incredible story filled with highs and lows, happiness and sadness, love, and most importantly, her children." The Samantha Keithley case showed that police were not offering enough mental health care. But the crisis worsened when Constable Terry Strawn was killed just 3 months later. Strawn, however, was a respected veteran who had never had issues with the law and had just been rehired as a school security officer. But on December 19, 2018, he killed his wife, granddaughter, and daughter before taking his own life. He told the police about each step along the way. Kirk and Strawn were very different from one another. One was angry and intoxicated, and the other was calm and methodical. But they were both decorated soldiers. They both destroyed families and demonstrated how little warning their co-workers had. The Strawn case was especially troubling because his granddaughter attended the school he was assigned to protect, which damaged his reputation even further. Together, the 2 cases demonstrated how dangerous it is when police officers are violent toward their own families and how officers seldom used mental health services because they feared being judged. As a result of the 2 deaths, there are now full-time psychologists, emotional support dogs, chaplain programs, a behavioral resources unit, and mandatory suicide prevention training. There have also been cultural changes to make it less shameful to seek help. No one is immune to mental health issues, Chronister said, saying, "Hey, I'm having a hard time is not a sign of weakness." Samantha was an example of remarkable strength, love, and dedication for 33 years. She became a mother at 16 and worked multiple jobs while raising 4 children. She also helped friends leave dangerous relationships. Because of her death, significant changes have been implemented that may have prevented other families from experiencing similar tragedies. Her 4 children, whom she loved deeply, carry on her legacy. Sam had always been protective, and Mark's courage in calling 911 showed that he possessed the same instinct. Samantha Keithley continues to help others through the changes that were implemented because of her case even after her death. When we think of Samantha, we should not remember the cruelty shown toward her, but the light she brought. Do not forget Samantha. Help is available if you or someone you know is experiencing domestic abuse. Contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline if you are considering suicide. You are not alone. This was a disturbing case, but one that will not be forgotten. If you found this case fascinating, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We post crime case videos every night. Until next time, stay sharp, stay vigilant.